Bill Haney blasts Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia as an exhibition fight. Says it's not on his son and Loma's level. What's good, everybody? It's your boy Cardinal Red Sports. Let's talk about it. Alright, so recently Bill Haney gave an interview and he was speaking about his son's upcoming fight with Lomachenko, and he was asked about Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia. Basically, Bill Haney blasted the fight as a bona fide exhibition on behalf of Gervonta Davis. He said he's setting his own rules, and that's not fair. I wanted to give my 2 cents on that, how I feel about that, and whether it's true or false. Alright, so Bill Haney, man, has some strong words to say about this fight, and none of them were really good.
Listen, if you think a lot of money will make you happy, you never had a lot of money before.
Now, don't get me wrong, Bill Haney did say that he felt like this is a good fight. He didn't say it was a bad fight or, that either one of these guys have some, huge advantage over the other one besides the rules that are set within the fight. Now, Bill Haney also said he feels like his son is the pinnacle when it comes to difficult fights. He said he feels like his son is giving Lomachenko the same opportunities that Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather, all these other great names gave their opponents back in the day. And I had to laugh when I read that part because I'm like, that's kind of completely untrue on behalf of Bill Haney right there. What he said is not the truth. It's not exactly how things played out, especially when it comes to a guy like Floyd Money Mayweather. Now, Bill Haney said that those guys back in the day gave their opponents all the opportunity in the world, and he mentioned Mayweather. Now, when you think about Mayweather, it was only in his younger days when he was Pretty Boy Floyd, before he became Money Mayweather, that Floyd was taking on his toughest opponents. When he became Money Mayweather, everything had to be in his favor. There was nothing that was in his opponent's favor when it came to trying to win the fight or when it came to the rules of the fight. So I would have to disagree there with Bill Haney. And it just so happens that Gervonta Davis is a Mayweather fighter. I mean, I'm pretty sure he picked up on some of the tactics that Mayweather used to make his fights. And I'm pretty sure he's using them to his advantage, whatever that is. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try to dissect every term of the contract and say I understand why he did it. I understand he's the A side, so there is a reason he did it. Mainly because he's the A side and he can do it, and Floyd Mayweather has set boxing up to have this standard now of the A side, B side. So if you want to blame somebody for all this, you got to blame Mayweather, and you got to look at Mayweather as the cause and effect of people doing this when it comes to setting up fights. Now, he said that his son would never do his opponent like that. Well, I would have to disagree there as well, because once again, when he fought George Kambosos had a list of terms that Bill Haney and Devin Haney didn't like when they made that fight. Now, Devin Haney actually, he capitulated to the terms. He actually went with the terms. He went over to Australia, beat George Kambosos, became the champion, and got to dictate terms in the rematch. Now, here's where it gets fishy, because Bill Haney said they would never do their opponent like that. Well, if you wanted to make it fair, you should have had to fight the rematch, Devin Haney, George Kambosos, in a neutral site. It shouldn't have been in America, because that would have been fair for George Kambosos. It should have been in another country, perhaps the UK, perhaps Saudi, perhaps in England, anywhere but the US, because it makes it unfair then that you're making George Kambosos come over here, go through all this stuff just to have a fight. You know what I'm saying? So if he wanted it to be fair, and if he was being honest and truthful about not having outrageous terms within his contract, they wouldn't have done that. Now, I know people are going to say, well, George Kambosos did it first, so what's wrong with doing it back? Well, you're not being honest with people at that point. You're nitpicking at that point, because you said, Bill Haney said that they wouldn't do their opponent like that, but they've already done an opponent like that in the past. I mean, being the A side, that's just what the A side does. So don't be a hypocrite, when someone else does something that you say you wouldn't do, but then you turn around and do something that someone else wouldn't do. Because Gervonta Davis could have easily made the fight in front of the hometown crowd of Baltimore and made even more money and made it even harder on Ryan Garcia. But he didn't. He put it in a neutral site. At least he did that. So why not give up the catchweight at that point? And I'm pretty sure that's why the catchweight is in there, because if I gave up that hometown advantage, then I'm going to have the catchweight advantage. Even though it's not an advantage, Ryan Garcia's fought at 135 plenty of times. He can make the weight. He just doesn't want to make the weight. It's difficult for him to make the weight. The same for Errol Spence Jr. It's not that he can't make the weight. It's difficult for him to make the weight. So it's almost like laziness on behalf of Ryan Garcia. Exactly what Gervonta Davis said. Now, when it comes to Bill Haney, he said a few other things within the article, some other interesting stuff. And I feel like, his fight with Loma, I'm pretty sure there's going to be terms within the Loma contract that Loma's not going to agree with. But he's probably going to go along with it because he's not the A side in the fight. But as long as he wins in the rematch, he's going to be able to dictate whatever terms that he wants to dictate. So I think it's a little bit of double talk on behalf of Devin Haney's father, Bill Haney. I understand where he's coming from, to where, you don't want to have all this ridiculous stuff placed into these contracts, because it muddies the water up and it can make the fight not as competitive as, everybody might want it to be. But don't be a hypocrite, Bill Haney. Don't go around telling people that, we never put terms in a contract that our opponent wouldn't agree with, when every boxer that's the A side does that. There is no boxer that has been the A side probably in the last 20 years who hasn't put a term within a contract that the other side wouldn't agree to, man. And, I think it's a little almost laughable. I think it was his opportunity to use the Gervonta Davis Ryan Garcia fight to kind of like poke a little fun at it, and build his fight with Lomachenko, his son's fight with Lomachenko, up a little bit more, and try to make it seem like that's more of a super fight than the Ryan Garcia Gervonta Davis fight, which they're both super fights. Don't get me wrong, the Loma Devin Haney fight is going to be huge, but don't try to throw dirt on the Gervonta Davis fight just because of some term in the contract. You know what it is, man. You know what it is. I think that's it for now. Hit that like button for me. Share. Subscribe. Holler at me on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. If you want to collabo, hit my Gmail, flockofcards@gmail.com. And we are
Come on. Riding in the old school, switching lanes. G's in the hood trying to pitch the cane. I'm a young nigga trying to get the change. Niggas need money, long live the game. Real niggas getting money on the block, putting in work like they on the clock. See me in the hoods that's known to pop, chillin' waiting on my cell phone to stop. Ringing off the hook, now I need a new phone call. Hit her with some soft and she keep a nigga on hard. But y'all ain't the hard type. Y'all chicks acting like niggas, y'all die.
Late night outside where the G's be pitching. Got weed, got crack, we be selling these bitches. I'm trying to get that guap, so I'm all the way with it. I ain't bullshitting with you, watch me handle my business.
Don't sleep, just eat, nigga.
Handle your business.
No teeth, go deep, mommy.
Handle your business.
Yeah.
I handle my business.
Get it in, move it out.
I'ma handle
it goes when I'm back in town. I walk up in the club with a black and mild. Grab a thick dame, turn that ass around. Tell her if you ain't no better, ask around. Got the number one fly nigga pound for pound. Make the clear disappear, then I down the ground. And you might see me rolling up, shotgun in the ride, and I'm rolling up. Then I'm blowing funk, then I'm posted up, standing next to a car with an open trunk. CDs for the 5, and you know we bump. Willie wheel on the track, then the stack greenback.
Late night outside where the G's be pitching.